Shalom and welcome back to Mini Israel with Aline. Today we are going to follow in the footsteps of Jesus on the Temple Mount. We will see exactly where he walked, where he preached, and even where he performed his miracles. The Temple Mount is extremely important to the story of Jesus. He was there from infancy, just a few days old, when he was presented by his parents. And he stayed on the Temple Mount preaching until his last days before being taken to prison, crucified, and resurrected. Today we are going to learn in depth about the history of this place and its connection with Jesus. So if you are ready, let's get started. Jesus visited the Temple Mount dozens of times, and most of the times he visited the temple in Jerusalem, he entered through the Huldah gates, which are exactly these entrances right next to us. Now we are going to go up the stairs together. Look how spectacular these stairs date back to the time of Jesus. There is a good chance he walked on these very steps. And notice something rather strange. If we look at the steps, we see that they are different sizes. Here I am stepping on a small step, now a big step. Why was it made this way? These staircases were built this way so that no one could run up to the Temple Mount. Sometimes people would get so excited to arrive at this place that they would get carried away and want to run up, but anyone who tried to run up these stairs would fall. The idea was for everyone to go up slowly, respecting the holiness and importance of this place. Because we have to remember that just a few meters from us is the peak of Mount Moriah, where Abraham went to offer his son Isaac as a sacrifice, where the Ark of the Covenant was kept, the mercy seat and the divine presence, the place where the first and second temples of Jerusalem stood, where prophets and kings passed through, and of course, the great presence of Jesus in this place. Look at the size of these stones. All of this that we're walking beside is just one single stone. And it dates back to the time of the Second Temple of Jerusalem. It has been in this place right here since the time of Jesus. And walking a little further and looking over here to the side, we see the three Huldah gates, where Jesus passed many times on his way up to the Temple Mount. However, we reach the entrance of the gates, but we won't be able to cross through them because the gates are closed. And we will walk toward the western wall of the temple complex, where the entrance is nowadays. As we saw, the Huldah gates are completely closed and sealed. And that's why, to access the Temple Mount, we have to go up through another place. And that's why we're using this wooden bridge, which of course is much more modern. However, it gives us a very special view of the Wailing Wall. So let's look at it as we keep going up. Let's start with Jesus' first visit to the temple in Jerusalem, which happened when he was only 40 days old. That's because the law of Moses required presenting the firstborn to God, and at that time this was done at the temple in Jerusalem, and they go right after Mary's purification. Also, according to the laws of Leviticus, the temple in Jerusalem was a gigantic complex. It had 150,000 square meters. That's right, 150,000 square meters. And what we're going to do today is find out the exact spots where each event in Jesus' life took place. And that's why we continue our walk to the place where Jesus was presented. The Dome of the Rock, without a doubt, is what stands out the most in this place because of its beauty. However, that's not our topic for today. Today we came to learn about and follow in the footsteps of Jesus, so that's the direction we're heading. The moment we arrived here, a strong wind picked up, but I want you to look at these arches. Where these arches are today, that's where the Nicanor Gate used to be, and this area we're entering now was called the Women's Court. And it started here at the Nicanor Gate, going down the stairs and through a large courtyard, and ended at the location of the beautiful gate. Despite the name, this courtyard wasn't just for women. Rather, it was the farthest area women were allowed to go. Because beyond this point, it was an area exclusively for men and priests. And in this area where we are, it's exactly where women and families would come to bring their offerings and present their firstborns. And in fact, Jesus' family, Joseph and Mary, because they were a humble family, they brought 2 doves here. And in this same courtyard, it's where they meet Simeon. There was a man in Jerusalem named Simeon who was righteous and devout and who was waiting for the consolation of Israel. And the Holy Spirit was upon him. It had been revealed to him by the Holy Spirit that he would not die before he had seen the Lord's Christ. Moved by the Spirit, he went into the temple. When the parents brought the child Jesus to do for him what the custom of the law required, Simeon took him in his arms and praised God, saying, "Sovereign Lord, as you have promised, you may now dismiss your servant in peace. For my eyes have seen your salvation, which you have prepared in the sight of all peoples, a light for revelation to the Gentiles and for the glory of your people Israel." The child's father and mother marveled at what was said about him. And it is also here in the women's court where they meet the prophetess Anna. We know that Jesus came to Jerusalem and to the temple several times during his childhood. It is written in the Bible that his parents came here every year to celebrate the Jewish Passover festival, and surely Jesus went with them several of those times. And one such visit is specifically recorded in the Bible, Jesus' visit to the temple in Jerusalem when he was 12 years old. When he turned 12 years old, they went up to the festival, as was the custom. After the festival was over, as his parents were returning home, the boy Jesus stayed behind in Jerusalem without them realizing it, thinking he was among their traveling companions. They walked the whole day. Then they began to look for him among their relatives and acquaintances. Not finding him, they returned to Jerusalem to look for him. After 3 days, they found him in the temple, sitting among the teachers, listening to them and asking them questions. Everyone who heard him was amazed at his understanding and his answers. When his parents saw him, they were astonished. His mother said to him, "Son, why have you done this to us? Your father and I have been anxiously searching for you." He asked, "Why were you looking for me? Didn't you know I had to be in my father's house?" But they did not understand what he was saying to them. In this passage, the exact location within the Jerusalem temple complex where this happened is not recorded. But we know that it probably happened here in one of these outer courtyards where the crowds could listen to Jesus. Imagine learning a new language just by binge watching your favorite series. As someone working with tourists every day in Israel, learning Hebrew was important to me. But the apps I tried felt boring or ineffective. It felt like I was learning textbook Hebrew, not the Hebrew real Israelis actually speak. Then I discovered Lingopie, the Netflix of language learning. After work, I usually watch TV, so being able to learn a new language while doing something I already enjoy feels incredibly easy and natural. So now I just watch Israeli TV series and learn at the same time. I can tap on any word I don't know and instantly get a translation with context. Plus, it's got tools built in like flashcards, so you can practice later to better learn the words, not just by reading them the first time, but also by taking notes and even fun quizzes. With Lingopie's double subtitle feature, I've started to pick up more words like manishma. Now I can put sentences together, tell a joke in Hebrew, and make Israelis look at me in surprise and ask, "Wait, are you Israeli?" Lingopie offers 13 plus languages like Spanish, French, Italian, Chinese, and more. If you also want to learn a language in a way that feels real and not boring, try Lingopie today. And since you are coming through my channel, you can get 55% off yearly plan and 7 days free trial. Just scan the QR code or click the link below to start learning today. And let me know in the comments how it's going for you. Israel teaches me every day that history lives through language, and now I can finally speak it. Jesus spent the first 30 years of his life in what we call his private years. I mean, he hadn't revealed himself clearly yet. And suddenly, at the age of 30, he begins his ministry and performs many miracles and does a great deal of teaching his entire public life, everything we have recorded in the Bible and much more. What was the turning point in Jesus' life? Two events together. The first one was the baptism in the waters of the Jordan River, performed by John the Baptist. And the second event right after that was the temptation, the 3 temptations made by Satan. And one of them happened here on the Temple Mount, where we are going now. We can already see in the background that corner, which is the pinnacle, the site of the temptation. Let's go. Let's listen to the passage as we walk. Then the devil took Jesus to the holy city and placed him on the pinnacle of the temple and said, "If you are the Son of God, throw yourself down from here, for it is written, He will command His angels concerning you, and they will lift you up in their hands so that you will not strike your foot against a stone." Jesus answered, "It is also written, do not put the Lord your God to the test." But how can we know that the pinnacle the Bible refers to is exactly this area where I am now? To do that, we start by reading the Bible itself. The New Testament in its original language in Greek says that the temptation happened at the pterygion. That means in Greek, the little wing or the edge. And that's why, if we look here, we know that the original area has to be a tip, an edge that sticks out. And that's exactly what we see here. We can also go to the church fathers, to the tradition of the early church, like Eusebius of Caesarea and Jerome, who say that this happened at the southeastern tip of the Temple Mount. And we can also look at first-century writings, like those of the Jewish historian Flavius Josephus, who says that from this point, from the southeast tip, when you got here and looked down, it made you dizzy. And it makes perfect sense because this tip is by far the highest among them all. Because from here, not only do we have the height of the entire Temple Mount, but on this side as well, we have the Kidron Valley. So here, originally, it led to a cliff of more than 40 meters, a height a person would not survive. During his 3 years of public ministry, Jesus came to the Temple Mount many times, mainly to teach. And it is recorded in one specific place in the Bible when he comes for the Feast of Dedication, which is another name for the Feast of Hanukkah, which happens every year around the time of December. And it is written that at that moment during the Feast of Dedication, he was specifically at Solomon's Portico. Solomon's Portico, despite the name, is not from the time of King Solomon, but rather it was the portico from Jesus' time, which was here along this entire wall, on the east wall of the Temple Mount. It was an area with columns and a roof over it. So it was a great place for Jesus to protect himself from the elements here and to be able to teach a large crowd. And right here at Solomon's Portico, he teaches the parable of the Good Shepherd. Unfortunately, one of the saddest things here on the Temple Mount is the lack of archaeological excavations. Because of the political sensitivity of this place, hardly any archaeological excavations have been carried out. To this day, most of the history of this place remains here, buried beneath our feet and inaccessible to us. As much as we may come here and tell the story, if we want to touch much of the archaeology, it's hidden right here beneath this floor. However, there is an exception. There was a moment in history when archaeology was removed from here, from the Temple Mount. And it wasn't a small amount. 9,000 tons were taken from the Temple Mount exactly from this place right here, which I want to tell you about. In the 1990s, the Waqf, which is the Muslim organization that controls the Temple Mount, carried out illegal underground construction in the area called Solomon's Stables. And from there, they removed 9,000 tons of earth from the Temple Mount mixed with archaeological remains. And they dumped it in the Kidron Valley. And they did this to build an underground mosque at this site, which today has the capacity for 10,000 people. And it's called El Marwani. However, unfortunately, I can't go down those stairs. Access to this place is completely forbidden to Jews and Christians nowadays. The place is guarded by the Waqf, which is a Muslim organization, and that's why we can't enter it. But what was done with all that earth that was thrown into the Kidron Valley? It was recovered by a group of archaeologists, among them Sahid Vira and Gabriel Barque. They started a project to rescue the earth from the Temple Mount along with its archaeology. A unique and very important project. We even took part in this project and filmed it for you. I'll leave the link up here for anyone who wants to watch. And in the sifting project, they have already managed to find thousands of objects connected to the first and second temples of Jerusalem. Coins, inscriptions, pieces of the floor, even pieces of the capitals themselves, a piece of a column from Solomon's Portico. And now we continue our walk along the eastern wall where Solomon's Portico used to be. And right ahead of us, we will reach the Golden Gate. Back here, we can clearly see the Golden Gate through which Jesus made his triumphal entry. He came by way of the Mount of Olives, riding on a little donkey. He goes down through the Kidron Valley and enters through the gate, passing right through this area here. And here he enters the Temple Mount to begin his last week, his week here in Jerusalem. And when he is here on the Temple Mount, the ones who recognize him and come to him are exactly the children, the purest and most innocent people. And they look at him and shout, "Hosanna, Son of David." That is, the great triumphal entry and the recognition of Jesus happen in this area where we are. And in this last week of his, which was really a very busy and tumultuous week, it is written in the Bible several times that he came here to the Temple Mount every day to teach. Look at this. Every day he came here. And all these days that Jesus came here to the Temple Mount, his focus was always on teaching. And actually, part of this teaching happened right here next to the treasury. If you recognize it, we are back in the women's court. And next to the women's court was the treasury, as you can see in this illustration. Jesus sat down in front of the place where the contributions were placed and watched the crowd putting money into the offering boxes. Many rich people were putting in large amounts. Then a poor widow came and put in 2 very small copper coins worth only a few cents, calling his disciples to him. Jesus said, "I tell you the truth, this poor widow has put more into the offering box than all the others. They all gave out of their abundance, but she, out of her poverty, put in everything she had to live on." See how Jesus used the different areas of the Temple Mount for his teachings. And also here beside the treasury, in this area where we are, it wasn't the first time Jesus taught. Sometime before, during the Feast of Tabernacles, he had also come here to teach. This is written very clearly in John chapter 8. This place has changed a lot over the last 2,000 years since Jesus was here, but we can clearly see here the marks of a history that has never left this place. After several days teaching here on the Temple Mount, Jesus' time had come. Here in Jerusalem is the place where Jesus was arrested, condemned, and crucified. But it's also the place of his resurrection and his ascension to heaven. The ascension happened here on the Mount of Olives, which we can see on the other side. And right after his ascension, his disciples returned to where? To the Temple Mount to praise. We see how the importance of this place doesn't end after Jesus' time here. We see the connection of the early church and also of the apostles' disciples with this place. Peter and John healed a lame man next to the beautiful gate, which was on the other side of the women's courtyard. And then Peter went to Solomon's Portico to preach there as well. We have to understand that the importance of the Temple Mount has not ended. This is where Abraham nearly sacrificed Isaac. The covenant of monotheism that we follow to this day was sealed at this location. The prophets walked here, the kings walked here, Jesus also passed through here, he performed miracles here, and his disciples also kept coming here. Just as we continue to come here to this day, passing through this place to tell its story, to connect with the miracles and with the past, with the present, and also with the future, because many things are yet to happen in this place. I hope you enjoyed today's video. Don't forget to check the link that's on the screen now or in the description. Sending you a big hug, and I'll see you next week.